Hey there, deep diver. You know how we do it around here. Another day, another deep dive into the latest tech news.
Hmm.
And you sent over this article from Daily News Egypt
Yeah.
that has a ton of meta stuff in there. And it seems like meta is just
Like they just come in.
is keep going and going, and they're not slowing down at all.
No.
So let's dive right in.
Yeah, what's fascinating to me is I feel like they're not even really just making product announcements at this point. It's like they're trying to paint us a picture of the future and they're using these like product announcements almost like as colors on this palette. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, and it's like they're not even being subtle about it. You know, like they're coming out and saying this is what we think is going to happen. So like right off the bat, they're talking about their new VR headset, this Quest 3S.
Right.
And you know, I think what's interesting here is the price point. You know, they're coming in at $299.
$299, which is for a VR headset is pretty darn affordable.
That's their whole thing, right? Like accessibility. They're like, how do we make this technology accessible to the masses? Because if we want to build this metaverse and we want everyone to be in it,
Right. It's
and
got to be affordable.
it can't just be for the tech bros.
Exactly.
It's got to be for everybody.
You know, my mom's got to be able to use it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
It can't just be for the people who can afford, $1,000 headset.
Well, and it's got to be easy to use.
Exactly.
And it's got to be something that you actually want to use, right? Like, I feel like so many of these VR headsets in the past, it's like, oh, this is cool.
It's kind of gimmicky.
But I'm going to use it for like an hour, and then I'm bored with it.
100%.
But this things that they're talking about, this hyperscape,
Yes.
this sounds like...
This is a game changer.
This is like...
I think this is the thing that's going to get your mom in the metaverse.
This is like Ready Player One level.
Exactly.
This is
100%.
This is the thing that I feel like we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about strapping on a headset and being in, like you said, like a generic city.
Right.
It's about being in real places.
Real places. And they're using this technology called Gaussian splatting,
Okay.
which sounds very complicated.
Gaussian splat.
Gaussian splatting. It's basically like a virtual paintbrush. And instead of like building these environments polygon by polygon by polygon,
Right.
they're using these like points of light and color to capture the texture and the depth of real world locations.
So like instead of it being like a video game
Right.
where it's like clearly a computer generated world,
Yeah.
this is
It's like photorealistic.
photorealistic. Like you're looking at a photograph and you're immersed in the photograph.
And you can step into the photo and you can like walk around and you can interact with things.
So you could be walking down the street that you grew up on,
Yes.
but digitally.
100%. And you can go into your childhood home.
Oh my gosh.
Think about that. You could go into your childhood home. You can go to like your favorite vacation spot. You could visit like the pyramids. Like you could do all this stuff without leaving your living room. Which is mind-blowing.
Which is mind-blowing and also a little scary at the same time.
Of course.
Always.
Right.
That's a whole other deep dive.
Yeah.
But
That's a whole other conversation.
so they're doing all this stuff with VR.
Yeah.
But then they're also like not leaving AI behind. They're taking AI with them on this journey as well.
100%. Yeah, they made a bunch of AI announcements as well, which are very interesting because AI is kind of the underlying thread through all of this,
Yeah.
right? So like all this stuff that we're talking about with the metaverse and the VR and the AR, like none of it's possible without AI.
Right.
Like AI is the engine that's powering all of this.
Well, and I think what's interesting is it's becoming more and more, I don't want to say like invisible, but
Seamless.
seamless. Like you don't realize you're interacting with AI.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%. I think that's the goal, right? Is to make it so seamless that you don't even realize
Right.
that you're talking to a computer.
Like I remember when voice assistants like first came out,
Oh my gosh.
and it was like
The worst.
You'd have
You
to-
had to talk to it in a very specific way.
it had to be like,
You had to be like robot voice.
yeah, and even then it was like
And
a
even then it was like 50-50.
50-50 chance it was going to get it right.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now it's like
Now it's like scary good.
they're talking about having this AI analyze the photos on your phone
I know.
and tell you,
And like answer questions about it.
answer questions about
Like,
it.
it's crazy.
Or like suggest recipes based on what's in your fridge.
I know. It's like,
Again-
how do they know what's in my fridge?
How do they know what's in my fridge?
I don't know, but it's a little scary.
And that's a whole other
Yeah.
totally different
An epic
conversation.
rant that you could have.
We could do a whole deep dive on that.
But But yeah, so they're doing all this AI stuff. They're talking about this Llama 3.2 thing.
Yeah, which is interesting because that's open source.
Okay, so tell me more about that, because I feel like that's a big deal.
So it's a huge deal because basically what they're doing is they're making their AI technology available to anyone.
So like any developer.
Any developer can take this AI and build on top of it.
So it's like instead of just Meta
Exactly.
controlling this technology.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, like, we believe in the power of collaboration.
Yeah.
We want everyone to be able to use this.
Like open sourcing knowledge.
Exactly.
In a way. 100%. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
It is cool. It's a really interesting strategy.
It's a little scary, too.
It is a little scary.
Like, is this going to come back to bite them?
Right. What are people going to do with this technology?
Are they going to use it for good? Are they going to use it for evil?
Exactly. We don't know. But I guess that's the risk you take when you
open it up to the world.
open it up to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the gamble.
That's the gamble.
Exactly.
It's a gamble for sure, but they seem to be doing okay with taking risks so far.
Right.
But okay, so we've talked about like the metaverse VR stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these Ray-Ban glasses, because they've had those out for a minute.
They've been out.
But it sounds like they're getting a serious upgrade. They are getting a serious upgrade, and I think this is where it starts to get really interesting for people who are maybe a little bit skeptical of the metaverse stuff.
Yeah.
Because this is technology that you can use today that actually has like real world implications.
Yeah, and they look cool.
And they look cool.
Like, that's the thing.
That's huge.
That's like half the battle, right?
Right, because nobody wants to wear
Nobody wants to wear those, like,
the dorky glasses.
dorky glasses.
Yeah,
So
100%.
they've at least got that part figured out.
Yeah, and the fact that they've partnered with Ray-Ban, I think, is really smart, because Ray-Ban just has that like cool factor.
Well, and they're not trying to oversell it either.
Exactly.
It's not like they're saying these glasses are going to replace your phone.
Yep.
It's more like this is an extension of your phone.
It's an accessory.
Yeah.
It's like, your smartwatch.
Right.
It's like that, but for your face.
Yeah, and you can listen to music.
Yeah.
You can get real-time translations.
Yes. Oh my gosh. The translation thing. Imagine like you're traveling.
Oh, that's huge.
And you don't speak the language, and you can just like look at someone.
And it's just subtitled.
And it's just subtitled right there in your glasses.
That's amazing.
That's the future.
That's the future, but that's not even scratching the surface, because then we get to Orion.
Okay. So Orion, this is the big one.
This is the big one.
This is what we've all been waiting for.
This is augmented reality.
Augmented reality done right.
Like, we've all been promised this future for so long.
For like decades.
And it's like, is it finally going to actually happen?
I think this is it. I think this is the one.
Like, are we going to have dinosaurs walking down the street?
I mean, that would be cool. But yeah, like, imagine like interactive holographic displays.
Okay.
Right? Like, you can be like collaborating with your colleagues on 3D models.
Wow.
But it looks like they're in the room with you, even though they're on the other side of the world.
That's wild.
Like, this has the potential to like fundamentally change how we work, how we play, how we interact with the world around us.
So it's like they're going with the Ray-Bans for like the casual user.
Yes.
Who just wants a little taste.
A little taste of the future.
And then Orion is like,
if you want the full shebang,
full immersion,
this is it.
This is the metaverse in your eyeballs.
Exactly, 100%.
But like, how much is it going to cost?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah, because if it's like $10,000.
Yeah, nobody's going to buy it.
Nobody's going to buy it.
It's going to be like a toy for the rich.
Right?
Which would be a shame, because this technology has the potential to be so much more than that.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like
with any new technology.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we make it accessible?
Right.
How do we make it affordable?
Right.
So that everyone can benefit from it.
Because if only rich people can afford it,
right,
then it's just going to exacerbate.
It's just going to widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Exactly.
100%.
But hopefully they're thinking about that.
Right. Like, what is their plan for making this technology accessible to everyone?
Yeah.
Because if they don't, I think it's going to be a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's going to be a loss for all of us. Yeah. Because this technology really does have the potential to change the world.
It really does.
But it needs to be in the hands of everyone, not just a select few.
Well said. I think that's a good place to maybe take a pause on this part of the conversation.
Yeah.
But we are not done talking about Meta yet.
Oh, no.
We still have a lot more to cover.
Much more to dive into.
Including this whole, like, underlying AI.
Yes.
That's powering all of this stuff.
Yes, because that's really the engine
behind
all of this.
Exactly.
None of this is possible without AI.
So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about that.
Sounds good.
So, I mean, were they just ahead of their time, or what went wrong there?
I think it was a little bit of everything, right? Like the technology just wasn't quite there yet. The battery life was terrible. They were clunky. They looked weird.
Yeah.
People felt awkward wearing them. Like they felt like they had this thing on their face.
Like they were in a spy movie or something.
Exactly. And it was too much too soon.
Yeah.
But I think Meta has learned from those mistakes.
Yeah.
And they're taking a much more measured approach.
Right.
Like they're not trying to do everything at once.
Right.
They're starting with something simple.
Like with the glasses, they're just like,
Yeah.
these are glasses.
They're stylish.
They can do a couple cool things.
They're functional.
Yeah.
But they're not
Then I could
they're not going to take over your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's baby steps. Baby steps into the future.
Baby steps into the future. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So baby steps with the Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
But then they're also like going full force with Orion.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, right? Is like
Yeah.
they're hedging their bets a little bit
Yeah.
because they don't know.
Which is smart.
It is smart
Yeah.
because nobody knows how this is going to play out.
Right.
Like, is everyone going to want to wear AR glasses in 5 years?
Right.
We don't know.
Maybe. Maybe not. So they're going to have the Ray-Bans for the people who are like, I'm not quite ready for that,
Exactly.
but I'm curious.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have Orion for the people who are like,
Give me all the things.
jack me into the metaverse.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
100%.
But, that brings up another point. Like, nobody knows if people are going to actually want to wear AR glasses.
Right.
Like, is this going to be the next big thing, or is this going to be like Google Glass 2.0?
I mean, that's the billion-dollar question, right? Like, is this going to be the next iPhone?
No,
Or is this going to be the next, whatever the next big flop is? Like,
Okay.
we just don't know.
And I think what's interesting is like, we've been talking about all this technology,
Yeah.
but ultimately it comes down to people using it
Right.
and like adopting it.
Adoption is key.
Yeah.
Like, they can make the coolest technology in the world,
Yeah.
but if nobody uses it,
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
It's just a cool gadget.
It's a very expensive paperweight.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
So I guess
Yeah.
we'll just have to wait and see
We'll have to wait and see.
what happens.
That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're all just along for the ride.
Well, Deep Diver, I think that's about all the time we have for today.
That was a good one.
That was a lot of meta.
A lot of
I
mess.
feel like we could do like 3 more deep dives on this.
We could talk about this all day.
We could, but we're not gonna.
Not today.
Not today. But we're gonna keep following this story, obviously,
Of course.
because
That's huge.
This is huge.
This is the future.
So Deep Diver, thank you for sending this in. This was a good one. If you're listening and you want to send us an article,
Please do.
please do. We love hearing from you. And until next time, happy diving.
Happy